Most of us think we know what the ocean is hiding. Shipwrecks, weird fish, the occasional nope shadow that makes you exit the water like you just remembered you left the stove on, but every so often someone snaps an underwater photo that changes the whole story. Not because it's the clearest image ever taken, but because it captures something we did not know was possible. Today we're counting down the top 10 underwater photos that revealed something no one expected. Let's start with the ones that feel the most unreal. Here is a sentence that should not make sense, but it does. There are lakes at the bottom of the ocean. Explorers in the Gulf of Mexico captured photos and footage of brine pools. Super salty water so dense it forms a clear boundary like a shoreline. The famous one, people nicknamed the hot tub of despair, looks like a calm pond, except it is sitting on the sea floor. The camera shows this sharp edge where normal seawater meets brine, and it is creepy because it looks like a surface you could almost step onto. The unexpected part is what happens near the edge. The brine can be toxic to many animals, and the boundary can trap or overwhelm creatures that drift in. At the same time, life still exists around it, including specialized organisms that basically live on the shoreline of this underwater poison lake. So the photos give you this weird contradiction. The lake is deadly, and it's also a habitat. And visually, it's one of the most "this cannot be real" things ever filmed underwater, because your brain keeps trying to interpret it as a normal lake. It is not. It is the ocean doing ocean things. Picture a cave dive where your light hits a human skull on a ledge deep inside a flooded pit. That is essentially what happened at Black Hole Chamber in the Sac-Actun system on the Yucatan Peninsula. Divers documented the chamber with underwater photos because once they realized what they were looking at, it became one of the most important submerged archaeological finds in the Americas. The remains, often called Naya in major reporting, were found alongside Ice Age animal bones in this deep underwater black hole chamber. The shocking part is the preservation and the setting. This is not a normal excavation site. It is a hard-to-reach submerged room that stayed protected for thousands of years. Photos of the chamber helped researchers communicate something that sounds impossible until you see it. A human story locked inside an underwater abyss, and it matters scientifically because it helped push forward research into early people in the Americas in a way that only a find this complete and well documented could do. It is one of those moments where the photo is not just eerie, it's evidence. Okay, this one feels like a video game mission. A diver finds a submerged entrance near Marseille, swims through an underwater tunnel, and eventually reaches an air-filled chamber with prehistoric cave art. Cosquer Cave is famous because its entrance is underwater today due to sea level rise after the last ice age. Inside, there are Paleolithic paintings and engravings, including animals and hand stencils. The photos changed everything because the first reaction is always, wait, how is there cave art in a cave you can only access by diving? Then the reality sets in. People made that art when the coastline was different and the entrance was not submerged. The ocean later rose and turned the cave into a sealed time capsule, with some sections lost to flooding, but many artworks surviving long enough to be documented. Most shipwreck photos look like broken bones. This one looks like someone parked a ship in the dark and forgot to come back. In the Black Sea, researchers working on the Black Sea Maritime Archaeology Project used ROVs to photograph shipwrecks preserved in extremely low oxygen deep water. One headline-making wreck, dated to around 400 BC, was described by researchers and major outlets as unusually intact, with features like the mast and rowing benches still present. The surprise is the preservation level. Usually wood gets eaten or destroyed over time, but the deep Black Sea environment can slow that process dramatically, which means you get photos that look like they should not exist for a wreck that old. If you showed me this photo with no context, I would assume aliens, or a lost underwater civilization, or a prank. Divers off southern Japan started seeing perfectly patterned circles in the sand, like underwater crop circles about 2 meters wide. The images were so geometric that for a while the creator was genuinely unknown. Then researchers confirmed what was actually happening. A small male pufferfish builds the entire structure as a nesting and courtship display. The fish carves ridges and valleys with its fins, creating a symmetrical design to attract females. This became famous enough that the behavior has been studied and described in scientific literature, including how the fish constructs and maintains the pattern. In March 2018, the research vessel Petrel, backed by Paul Allen's exploration team, located the wreck of the USS Lexington in the Coral Sea. ROV photos and footage showed the carrier resting deep underwater, and what made the images go viral was not only the ship itself, it was the aircraft. They documented planes that went down with the ship, still bearing markings, sitting in the deep like a museum exhibit no one meant to build. Those photos hit hard because they feel personal. The unexpected part is how recognizable everything can still look in deep water imagery, even after decades. This one is pure nightmare fuel, in the best way. In November 2014, MBARI researchers exploring Monterey Canyon with the ROV Doc Ricketts encountered a black sea devil anglerfish. This was around 580 meters deep. They captured images that MBARI described as the first time this elusive species had ever been filmed alive at depth. And if you've only seen anglerfish as washed up beach photos or preserved specimens, the images are a different kind of unsettling. The fish looks like a floating mouth with teeth, with a lure on its head that it uses to attract prey in the darkness. Seeing it alive, moving through the water column, makes it feel less like a creepy fish fact and more like, oh, this is a real animal patrolling the dark. For decades, the Titanic was a legend with coordinates nobody could confirm. Then, in September 1985, the cameras finally got their first images, and these were not of the bow. They were the boilers. Hui documents that one of the first signs the team had found Titanic was a distinctive rivet pattern on a boiler. From there, imagery revealed the debris field and eventually the wreck itself. The unexpected part of the early photos is how recognizable it was. People imagine deep-sea wrecks as unidentifiable scrap. The images showed the ship's remains as a real place, a location with structure, scale, and presence. That is why those photos changed public imagination overnight. Titanic stopped being a rumor you picture in your head and became something you could actually see. Also, the search strategy itself is a great twist. They followed the debris trail first because the debris field is easier to find than the main wreck. The photos did not just prove Titanic was there, they proved a whole method of deep sea discovery. This is the moment the deep sea basically broke biology's expectations. In 1977, Alvin dives along the Galapagos Rift led to the discovery and documentation of hydrothermal vents and the bizarre communities around them. Hui's historical write-ups describe the astonishment of seeing red-tipped giant tube worms and dense ecosystems clustered around venting hot water. The photos were shocking because this is an environment with no sunlight. For a long time, the assumption was that life ultimately relies on sunlight as the base of the food web. Vent images helped show a different system. Chemosynthesis, microbes turning chemicals from the vents into energy, and then larger animals building entire communities around that. So when you look at vent photos, you are not just looking at weird worms, you are looking at the moment we learned the deep ocean can run on chemistry and still support cities of life. It is one of the most important underwater photo revelations of the modern era. For centuries, the giant squid lived in that category of technically real, but also feels mythical. Then, in 2004, Japanese researchers deployed a baited camera system targeting depths where sperm whales hunt, and then they got the shot. a sequence of photos showing a giant squid attacking the bait at around 900 meters deep. What makes these photos so satisfying is that they finally show the animal behaving like an active predator, not just a slow drifting mystery. The unexpected part was how intense it looked mid-attack, tentacles extended, body partially visible, caught in the flash like a deep-sea jump scare. Alright guys, that has been our list for today. Thanks so much for checking it out. I've been your host today, Olivia Kozlowski, and I will see you again soon. Goodbye.